More about constant speed, lesson 8, Fast and Furious 12. Okay, no. Let's investigate some more constant speed stuff. So, our I-CANs are I can solve more complicated problems about constant speed situations. So, make sure you have today's date, your I-CAN statements, and your page number. And you are ready to move on. All right, let's jump back on thinking about treadmills. Okay, so while training for a race, Andre's dad ran 12 miles in 75 minutes on a treadmill. If he runs at that rate, how long will it take him to run 8 miles? And how far could he run in 30 minutes? So this is one of those things where I think using a table is going to help us the most. Okay. So we've got our distance in miles, and we've got our time in minutes. And they originally told us 12 miles in 75 minutes. So we want to try and figure out, first off, how long it takes to go 8 miles. And then we want to see how far you can go in 30 minutes. So, what'd you get? So I went ahead and started doing that unit rate part. I divided the 12 into the 75 so I could get a distance of 1 mile and how much time it takes. And so I got 6 whole, I had 3 left over, so I got 6 3/12, which would be 6 1/4 minutes to go 1 mile. Okay. So I should be able to figure out the time, right? To go 8 miles, it's going to be multiply 1 times 8 to get 8. 8 times 6 would give me 48. Actually, I'm going to do that over here on this side so I can make it nice. So hang on a second. So 6 times 8 is 48. And then 8 times 1/4 is 8/4, which is 2. So it takes 50 minutes to go 8 miles. What about here? Are we going to use that same scaling factor here? Yeah, probably not. It's not going to be as smooth to go to that. So actually what I need to do is find to the minute or even to the 5 minutes. So I take 12 and divide it by 75. I should be able to divide both of those by 3, which gets me 4 for here. 75 divided by 3. 3 goes into 7. 2 times? That would be 6. It gives me 1. 15. 3 goes into 15 5 times. So in 1 minute, because here we were changing, back here we did the distance 1 mile in 6 1/4 minutes. Here we're looking at it the other way. We're talking about a time of 1 minute and that we can go 4/25 of a mile. So what do we need to do to go to 30? Yeah, multiply both parts by 30. So we have 1 times 30 gets you 30. 4 times 25, or 4/25, excuse me, times 30. We'd have, let's see, 120. I'm going to move up here where I can see a little better. So I got 120, because 4 times 30 would be that, divided by 25. 25 should go in 4 times, right? Because that would make 100. We have 20 left over. So we have 4 miles and 20/25ths of a mile, which we can reduce that. So we should have had that can go that distance, or can go in 30 minutes, go 4 and 4/5 miles in a half hour. Okay. Now there's some other ways that you could have done this. You could have figured out like, used 5 as your unit instead of the single 1. The nice thing about using 1 in the distance part, like we did for the 8 miles, and even for the time with the 4/25ths of a mile in 1 minute, is that with that single 1, it makes it pretty quick and simple to do the conversion in the next piece. Math is messy. That's why it's nice that you guys have notebooks. So let's get a couple terms down real quick. The first one we're going to get is pace. Pace is one way to describe how fast something is moving. Okay, so it's just telling you what the rate is of distance and time. So how long it takes to go a certain distance. Like in the examples here, Diego going 10 mile, a pace of 10 miles or 10 minutes per mile, 11 minutes per mile for Elena. Elena walks slower than Diego because it takes her more time to travel the same distance. So you compare things by pace. So the other one is speed. Speed is something that you probably talked about in 5th grade science. Speed is just talking about how much distance an object travels in a certain amount of time. So pace is looking at time per unit of distance. Speed is looking at distance per unit of time. So here we're talking about 4 miles per hour. And Priya walks at a speed of 5 miles per hour. She walks faster because she goes a greater distance in the same amount of time. So speed is just looking at that distance in a certain amount of time, whereas pace is looking at a certain amount of time to go a certain distance. Picnics on the rail trail. So Kieran and Claire live 24 miles away from each other on a rail trail. One Saturday, the two started walking toward each other at 8 a.m. and plan to have a picnic where they meet. Kieran walks at a speed of 3 miles per hour, while Claire moves at 3 4/10 miles per hour. After 1 hour, how far apart will they be? Well, for me, I think a table helps the most in this situation. So first things first, at 0 hours, we know that they are 12 miles apart, right? Well, they want to know how far apart they are after 1 hour. Well, what do we need to find out? Yeah, so we actually have to, they've both walked for an hour, right? Kieran at 3 miles per hour, Claire at 3 4/10 miles per hour. So we actually have to add those together to see how much distance they've covered, and then subtract that from 12, right? So it looks like they have, if you add those together, you get 6 4/10 miles that they both have covered towards each other. And then we have to subtract that from 12. Yep, I know I got some extra space here, but kind of need it right now. So after 1 hour, they are 5 6/10 miles apart. And then he casually remembered that he did it wrong. What do I have wrong here? Yeah, I hope you know. It says 24. I don't know where I got the 12 from. All right, I will try that part again. So we've got 24, and we're going to subtract that 6 4/10. So they are 17 6/10 miles apart. Okay. What about after 2 hours? Again, we're going to subtract another 6 4/10, right? Because every hour they're getting 6 4/10 miles closer to each other. So now they're only 11 2/10 miles apart. What about 3 hours? They're getting pretty close. Now they're only 4 8/10 of miles apart. So if they're 4 8/10 of miles apart, are they going to need another full hour to meet up? No, so it's not going to be after 12 o'clock. It's actually going to be before 12 o'clock that they should meet up. All right, let's do some swimming and biking here. Jada bikes 2 miles in 12 minutes. Jada's cousin swims 1 mile in 24 minutes. Who's moving faster? By how much? Well, Jada's moving farther, right? Because she is covering twice the distance because she's going 2 miles in 12 minutes, where it takes Jada twice as long to go half the distance. So we really need to make this in the same time. So if we take this, if we need to, we need to get down to the same units here, right? So let's go down to 1 mile. So that would give us the same here. Divide by 2. Oops. Should be 6, not my slip of my mouse there. Sorry about that. Things being finicky tonight. So it looks like that Jada is moving each mile 18 minutes faster, because Jada can go 1 mile in 6 minutes, whereas Jada's cousin goes 1 mile in 24. They line up on the end of a swimming pier at the edge of a lake. At the same time, they start going in the opposite directions. How far apart will they be in 15 minutes? How long will it take them to be 5 miles apart? Okay, well, 15 minutes, we kind of need to see that first part there, right? We need to figure out, try and get this down a little bit so we can make into some sort of together time. Well, if we add these both together, they can be 2 miles apart in 30 minutes, right? Because if we travel both 1 mile, takes Jada 6 minutes to go that 1 mile, and it takes Jada's cousin 24 minutes. So adding those together would give us something that would seem like it's pretty simple and quick, doesn't it? But really, we need to find out how far they go in 1 minute. So that means we're going to have to divide both parts by 24 here. So we get 1/24 of a mile in 1 minute. And what about here? We have 1 mile in 6 minutes. So that would be the same as 1/6 of a mile in 1 minute. Okay. So how far apart would they be in 15 minutes? Well, we need to multiply both those parts by 15. So 1/6 times 15 would give us 15/6, which is the same as 2 3/6. 15 times 1/24 is 15/24. Need to make like denominators, so let's use 24. So we got 2 and 12/24 plus 15/24 gives us 2 and 27/24. Take out a whole group there, which makes 3. That would give us 3/24, which is the same as 3 and 1/8. So they'd be 3 and 1/8 miles apart. What about how long would it take them to be 5 miles apart? Actually, this one's pretty easy. So Jada's gone 1 mile in 24 minutes. Jada's cousin. Jada goes 2 miles in 12 minutes. In 24 minutes, she goes 4 miles. So that gives us our 5 miles. So actually, it just takes 24 minutes for them to be 5 miles apart. Sorry it was a little long today, but sometimes these get a shade long. Thanks for watching. Make sure you got all your notes and that you're ready for your practice work.